Festival of Lights is here, and here's wishing all our viewers a very happy, prosperous and safe Diwali. Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on this special edition of India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan, and here's a look at the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening.
3, 2, 1.
The Sensex and the Nifty hit a 52-week high as Samvat 2081 ends. The Nifty up 4% this year, even as many other emerging and developed markets clock double-digit returns. Precious metals dazzle this Diwali, outperforming every other asset class. Gold and platinum prices are 60% higher. Silver prices surged by 80%. President Trump says India will continue to pay massive tariffs if it continues to buy oil from Russia. Claims once again that Prime Minister Modi has promised not to buy Russian oil. Shares of RBL Bank rally after the Middle East banking powerhouse Emirates NBD announces a landmark 27,000 crore rupee deal to buy 60% stake. This is the largest foreign direct investment in India's finance sector. This is also the first time a foreign bank is acquiring a majority stake in a profitable Indian bank. Large private banks deliver in Q2. ICICI and HDFC Bank meet expectations even as margins come under pressure. Smaller private banks report some improvement in margins as credit cost declines. Tata Trust likely to renew the terms of 2 trustees at the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust. Sources close to the Tata Group say the proposal circulated to extend the terms of Venu Srinivasan and Mehli Vistri. All trustees need to sign off on the renewal by the 23rd of October. A 38-year-old engineer who worked with Ola Electric has allegedly died by suicide. The family blames work pressure and the police named CEO Bhavish Agarwal in the FIR. Ola Electric moves the Karnataka High Court challenging the FIR. China's economy expands at 4.8% in the third quarter, the slowest pace of growth in a year, but Beijing maintains it can achieve the full-year growth target of 5%. The Chinese Communist Party kicks off its annual meeting where President Xi is likely to outline the growth roadmap for the next 5 years amidst trade tensions with the US. At least 97 Palestinians killed in Gaza since the ceasefire took place. Israel and Hamas accuse each other of violating the truce. President Trump says the ceasefire is still in effect. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner arrive in Israel. Amazon Web Services shows signs of recovery after a major outage. Several online services, including Amazon, Alexa, Snapchat, Roblox, Fortnite, Perplexity and others, go offline for a few hours. The cause of the outage is currently unclear. Well, let's start this Diwali edition of India Business Hour with the market action. The Lal Street closing the day higher with the Sensex and the Nifty hitting nearly a one-year high. The Nifty crossed the 25,900 mark intraday. The Nifty Bank hit 58,000, fueled by strong private bank earnings over the weekend, as well as that deal that we saw for RBL. Broader markets also outperformed for the year, and you've seen the Nifty Mid-Cap Index closing higher. For the year, the Nifty up by about 4%. This, even as many other emerging and developed markets have clocked double-digit returns. So we've underperformed versus rest of the world, including the Kospi, the Nasdaq, the Nikkei, the Dow, the Nifty returning about 2% for the year. Surbi standing by now with all the market action. Surbi, Samvat 2081 behind us. What should we look forward to?
Well, Samvat 2081 has drawn to a close and it has taught investors a very, very important lesson in equity investing. And that is the lesson of patience, the virtue of patience. And as we get ready to welcome the new Samvat, the question is, will the rewards of this patience actually come through in Samvat 2082? Well, that is exactly the positioning and the thought that the market is taking right now. We've ended the Samvat on a fairly optimistic and positive note, with a lot of experts in the market saying that perhaps this consolidation phase that we've been in over the last 1.5 years, it's perhaps coming to an end. So let's come and look at the numbers first. So the year that's closed out, the Nifty managed a gain of just under 4%. The mid-cap index was absolutely flat. The small-cap index slightly lower, actually, falling about 4.5%. If you look at individual stocks, there was a fair amount of pain. Time correction, if not price correction, really playing out. However, if you look at the sectoral spread, I'll just pick out the best and the worst performing sectors. The worst performing sector, IT, And we all know why, directly exposed to the US. A lot of issues out there. Aside of H-1B visas, aside of all the rhetoric that we're getting from the US administration, just lack of growth, low single-digit growth posted by most of the large IT services companies. So down 18% on the Nifty IT. On the other side, the summer that's closed out brought about a brand new sector to invest in, and that was the defense space. The Nifty Defense Index actually ending with gains of about 25%. And again, a near consensus in the market that levels may vary, there might be volatility, but it's a sector that's here to stay. And that was the new investment theme thrown up by the somewhat that's closed out. Now, what were the issues? Why did we have this sort of a lackluster one-year range-bound move? Well, quickly to wrap it up, of course, we had the India-US trade war. The fact that after Liberation Day, we were not the first in line to get the deal as was initially anticipated. We had the India-Pakistan war. We had, of course, this relentless global AI trade that is showing no signs of abating, at least as yet. And that's where the money was literally going. Then we had, of course, FPI selling because India did not have a deep tech or an AI straight-up offer to give to the foreign investors. And therefore, the foreign money was going elsewhere in a lot of the other regional markets in our neighborhood. And then, of course, elevated valuations was a point of concern. However, the tide has started turning in October, and as we, celebrate Diwali, the festive cheer is really apparent, and it's more than just the festive spirit. Let's look at the numbers again. Month to date in October, the Nifty is up 5%, the mid-cap index is up 5%, and even the small-cap index has shown a sparkle of about 3.5%.
Well, let's see if the momentum continues. Surabhi, many thanks for joining us. Happy Diwali to you. So Samvat 2081 is behind us, as we just heard. What can we expect in the new year? Here are some market experts with their bets. Take a look.
India has done very badly this year relative to peers, emerging market benchmarks. So over 5 years, India has still done better than EM and China and all. Maybe only US has done better. But this year, India has had its worst relative performance in 30 years.
The market started originally with PSUs in defense and railways and all. This bull market by no means is over.
Right.
I think the PSUs took a backseat.
Right.
If they privatize, for example, or sell big stakes, why are they holding on to NALCO or SAIL and the others? So PSUs generally are beaten down, neglected, other than the defense and all, which are of course doing fantastically well.
My premise is based on very fundamental things. That all the noise about this gold and silver price is all technical in nature. There is nothing fundamental about it.
बैंक्स ही लीड करेंगे क्योंकि बैंक्स के स्टॉक्स अभी भी सस्ते हैं और काफ़ी अर्निंग्स ग्रोथ आने वाला है। जो पिछला क्वार्टर था वो तो एक्चुअली ख़राब क्वार्टर होना चाहिए था। उस ख़राब क्वार्टर में भी बैंक्स ने अच्छी अर्निंग्स दिए हैं।
Well, that's Rhythm Desai betting big on banks, but precious metals are dazzling this Diwali. Gold and platinum prices 60% higher, while silver prices have surged by 80%. Manisha is here to tell us about what's buzzing in the commodities space and what the outlook is here for the next Samvat. Manisha.
Well, the Samvat gone by clearly belonged to precious metals, which performed the best within the segment and as related to other asset classes as well. Gold and silver prices hit all-time highs, and we saw strong gains come in for various other precious metals as well. Well, this is because of the weakness in US dollar index, which is down between 8 to 10% in this year. The global economic uncertainty given the wars, geopolitics and tariff concerns as well. The slowdown, the Western debt also led to a lot of buying in tangible commodities, where gold and silver clearly took the best of the gains there. And then you had strong central bank buying, institutional buying, ETFs were surging as well. So everywhere that you saw, the money seemed to be rotating within precious metals. So when you look at the past year, we've seen gold prices gain up by 60%, silver is up 80%, and you have platinum prices almost 60% of gains therein as well. And the next chart shows you on what we've done in sense of Diwali to Diwali in last 1 year for many years now. And as you see those gains coming in from 2021 itself for the gold prices, but as you can see, every year we've seen gains kind of double up. If you look at the last 2 years, gold prices have doubled up in prices there. The next one is silver on your screens, and when you look at silver prices, well, we have seen silver prices double up in the matter of one last year itself. So last year during Diwali, we were trading at 94,000 rupees. We've seen silver prices hit 1,70,000 rupees as well in the previous week itself. So very, very strong gains coming in for this one. What has closed the year in negative has been the energy prices. So crude is down 18%, coal is down 29%. But the other metals also have done well. So palladium is up 41% in last 1 1 year. Copper is gained up by 15%, aluminum up 6%. Not so much great gains for zinc, which has seen a 4% of a decline in the previous year.
Manisha, many thanks for joining us. President Trump has reiterated his claim that India had agreed to stop buying Russian oil for the second time in 5 days. Speaking to reporters on board Air Force One, Trump said that Prime Minister Modi had assured him that India would not buy Russian oil. India's foreign ministry, meanwhile, had said it was not aware of any telephonic conversation between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump. When asked about this, Trump said, and I quote, "If they want to say that, then they'll just continue to pay massive tariffs."
I spoke with Prime Minister Modi of India, and he said he's not going to be doing the Russian oil thing, so that's it.
Well, why would India say that they're not going to do?
I don't know, but if they want to say that, then they'll just continue to pay massive tariffs, and they don't want to do that.
Well, that is President Trump. And speaking of the president, the US president has said that he is willing to lower tariffs for China if the government in China is willing to do, and I quote, "do things for the US." Now, these things will include buying more soybeans from the US and halting curbs on rare earth minerals. This statement comes after President Trump announced 100% tariffs on China, which he himself called unsustainable. Here's President Trump.
One of the things I want is China's going to buy soybeans. I want China to stop with the fentanyl. Very, normal things. I don't want them to play the rare earth game with us. Right now, China's paying a tremendous amount of money in tariffs like they've never paid before. They paid a lot during my first administration, my first term. Now they're paying an unbelievable amount of money to the United States. They probably can't pay that much, and I'm okay with that. We can lower that, but they have to do things for us too. It's no longer a one-way street.
Well, that's President Trump there. China's economic growth, meanwhile, slowing to a one-year low of 4.8% in Q3. This is in line with expectations. Now, retail sales and fixed asset management investment has weakened. However, industrial output has seen an unexpected uptick. Beijing has said that they are still on track to achieve the government's full-year growth target of about 5%. And more from China, the country's ruling Communist Party has begun a 4-day closed-door meeting to determine the country's development over the next 5 years. The party has met to approve a draft plan which lays out its goals for the country over the next 5 years. Chinese media reporting that President Xi has delivered a speech outlining proposals of that plan. The US federal government shutdown has now entered its 20th day. It has now become the third longest shutdown in US history. The longest shutdown lasted 35 days, happened during President Trump's first tenure. Now, the Democrats have said that lawmakers could reopen the government this week if the Republicans are willing to discuss healthcare subsidies. However, Republicans have urged Democrats, and I quote, to do the right thing and reopen the government first. The big corporate story back home, it's the biggest investment by a foreign financial institution into the Indian banking sector. Middle Eastern banking giant Emirates NBD will acquire a majority stake in RBL Bank for nearly 27,000 crore rupees. This is the single largest foreign direct investment into India's financial services sector and also marks the first acquisition of a majority interest in a profitable Indian bank by a foreign bank. Let's take you through the contours of the deal. Now, it is, of course, subject to regulatory approvals. Emirates NBD is looking to buy up to 60% stake in RBL Bank. The proposed investment would be via a preferential issue at 280 rupees a share. The RBL board has approved the allotment of around 96 crore new shares. RBL Bank will seek the shareholders' approval at an EGM on the 12th of November. Emirates NBD will also launch a mandatory open offer.
I feel that with the current trending and the core value which we are likely to create with this deal, I don't think that the people will be looking at responding to the open offer because it is going to be something which co-creation of the value. And this huge investment which is coming into the bank will also improve the book value also. Yes. When the book value moves up, this is something which is going to add up to your market value. Market cap will go up. So taking all these considerations, I feel, this open offer may not kick in much of the numbers, and it will be hovering around 60, plus the branch merger, whatever the percentage is going to come. Immediately, it is going to be the RBL to start with. and we have to wait for the things to evolve.
A CNBC TV18 exclusive, Tata Trust has issued a circular seeking the renewal of Venu Srinivasan's term as a trustee of the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust. Sources say that all trustees have to give their approval for renewal before the 23rd of October. Now, Srinivasan serves as a trustee in both Tata Trusts. He's also a nominee director on the board of Tata Sons. Sources also say that Merli Mistri's term is also likely to come up for renewal. Once approved, these appointments grant lifetime tenure. This comes amidst the alleged rift within the Tata Trust. Remember, Sir Dorabji Tata Trust and Sir Ratan Tata Trust are the two trusts that hold 51% stake in Tata Sons. Now, a 38-year-old engineer working with Ola Electric has allegedly died by suicide. An FIR has been filed naming CEO Bhavish Agarwal after a complaint from the family. Ola Electric has moved the Karnataka High Court challenging the basis of the FIR. Rachna Dhanrajani is here with the details. Rachna, the matter under investigation. What do we know about this?
Ola Electric's chief executive, Bhavish Agarwal, has been named in an FIR after a 38-year-old engineer allegedly died by suicide. He has been named along with one more official of the company, Subrat Kumar Das, who, according to his LinkedIn, heads vehicle homologations and regulations at Ola Electric. Now, K. Arvind, who had been employed with Ola Electric since 2022, was found dead at his Bengaluru residence on the 28th of September. Investigators say a 28-page note was recovered from the spot. It refers to mental stress and blames company executives, including the CEO. The document is now part of the police evidence and its contents are being verified. The complaint filed by his brother and father alleges that Arvind had faced sustained workplace pressure and humiliation while working at Ola Electric's head office in Koramangala, Bengaluru. Now, the FIR also records that just 2 days after Arvind's death, that is on the 30th of September, a payment of about 17.5 lakh rupees was made through NEFT from an Ola Electric account to his bank account. That transaction, and whether it was routine or an attempt to settle dues posthumously, is under investigation. The case has been registered under Section 108 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which deals with abetment of suicide. Police say the investigation will also focus on establishing causation, verifying the handwritten note and electronic communication, and tracing financial and managerial responsibility. Ola Electric says it is cooperating with authorities and has questioned the basis of the FIR, maintaining that there were no prior complaints against the executives named. But this is the second death by suicide linked to an Ola Group company in about 6 months. In May, a 25-year-old machine learning engineer at Ola Krutrim, that's the company's AI arm, was also found dead in Bengaluru, with family members and former colleagues alleging work-related stress.
Rachna, thanks very much. The matter under investigation. Time for a break. But up next, 2 incidents of a fire inside flights sparking concerns over the weekend. That and more when we get back. You're watching India Business Hour. You can also catch all of CNBC TV18's news and updates on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X and Jio Hotstar. Do subscribe to CNBC TV18 Access for exclusive stories and special shows like The Editor's Playbook and many others. Lalu Prasad Yadav-led Rashtriya Janata Dal has released its list of 143 candidates for the upcoming Bihar Assembly elections. RJD leader and former Deputy Chief Minister Tejasvi Yadav will contest from the Raghupur Assembly. Facing BJP Satish Kumar Yadav, 24 women candidates have been given seats, including Veena Devi, the wife of former MP Suraj Bhan, who's barred from contesting due to his conviction in a criminal case. RJD's total seats are 1 less than the 2020 Assembly elections. The Congress fielding 60 candidates. A formal seat-sharing deal has not been announced by the Mahagathbandhan yet. 5 RJD candidates have been pitted against nominees from the India bloc. Meanwhile, the Jan Shakti Janata Dal chief and Lalu Prasad Yadav's eldest son, Tej Pratap Yadav, has been booked for allegedly violating the Model Code of Conduct during the filing of his nomination papers from Maua. Air pollution in Delhi continues to worsen, with the air quality index entering the very poor category. The government has imposed the stage 2 of graded response action plan across the national capital. Experts warn that Diwali firecrackers could push pollution levels even higher in the coming days. Prime Minister Modi celebrated Diwali with the Navy personnel on board INS Vikrant off the coast of Goa and Karnataka. The Prime Minister celebrated the valour of the armed forces during Operation Sindoor. He spent a night on INS Vikrant. 2 people killed in Hong Kong after a cargo plane skid off the runway and hit a security staff patrol vehicle before ploughing into the sea. Police said that the 4 crew members on board escaped unhurt. The Boeing 747-481 was operated by Turkish carrier Air Act and was arriving from Dubai. And staying with aviation, 2 incidents of a fire inside flights were sparking concerns over the weekend. One incident happened on an Indigo flight and another on an Air China flight. Power banks carried by passengers appear to have caused these fires in the cabin. Madhya standing by with the details. Madhya, what's going on?
Well, 2 flights saw incidents of fire inside the cabin in 2 days, and there was one common cause: batteries on board. On October 19, an Indigo flight from Delhi to Dimapur had to return to the bay after a passenger's electronic device caught fire right inside the seat pocket. The crew reacted instantly, followed safety SOPs, and the situation was brought under control within seconds. Everyone was safe. Passengers were even served refreshments while the checks were done. A day earlier, on October 18, an Air China flight from Hangzhou to Seoul had a terrifying moment mid-air. A lithium battery caught fire in the overhead bin, forcing the plane to divert to Shanghai. Passengers panicked, but the crew's quick action prevented a potential mid-air disaster. All passengers were safely evacuated. Lithium batteries, found in phones, laptops, power banks can overheat or spontaneously combust if damaged or short-circuited, and that's why batteries are banned in checked luggage, because they can catch fire unseen. And this was decided back in 2016 after a series of cargo fires were seen, and when aviation regulators worldwide banned lithium batteries from checked-in baggage. So airlines tell you to carry them in the cabin where at least the crew can respond and contain the fire. But the problem now is when they start catching fire here too. So the FAA has logged dozens of such fires this year alone, from the phones, laptops, e-cigarettes, power banks, which are all perfectly legal to carry on board. Now it raises a tough question: if the cargo hold isn't safe and now even the cabin isn't risk-free, where do passengers really keep their batteries?
Well, Madhya, that is an important issue. Many thanks for joining us. The union government believes the latest GST cuts are being passed on to the consumer and may give a significant boost to consumption, which may be up by as much as 10% this year. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and the IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav addressed a joint press conference on Saturday. The Finance Minister said they were closely monitoring 54 items, and she believes that, as per the government's own data, there is not a single item where the tax cut has not been passed on.
Item by item, I'm here to tell you that that which is weighted average of the reduction which should have gone to the consumer is going, and more is also being passed on. So there is a remarkable impact of this set of new GST rate reductions that have happened, and every item that I've monitored which is of relevance for day-to-day life of common citizens, 54, and we still continue to monitor them. The rate has been, the benefit has been passed on to the consumers.
Well, that's the Finance Minister. India's top car makers Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai Motor India and Tata Motors have clocked record festive sales during Dhanteras, driven by strong retail demand, GST reforms and an extended 2-day festive window. Maruti Suzuki expected its highest ever Dhanteras sales at 51,000 vehicles, a 23% jump from last year. Hyundai anticipated about 14,000 vehicles, a 20% jump from last year. Tata Motors eyeing 25,000 deliveries, marking a 30% growth. So good news there for the auto space. India's festive shoppers went all out this year, from gold coins to gadgets and groceries. Everything flew off the virtual shelves. Shilpa Ranipeta reports it wasn't just e-commerce giants, quick commerce platforms saw record orders as well.
India's festive season sales have wrapped on a high, with e-commerce platforms registering a 24% jump in order volumes and a 23% rise in gross merchandise value this Diwali, as per data from Unicommerce. E-commerce platforms led the way, reporting strong festive numbers. Amazon, for instance, said its Great Indian Festival 2025 saw 276 crore customer visits, the highest ever. Premium smartphones, large-screen TVs and other consumer durables led the sales with double-digit growth. Categories like fashion and beauty also saw up to 95% growth, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
Whether it's your washing machines, air conditioners, large screen TV, like for example, even in large screen TVs, QLED and mini LED TVs are growing much faster. Smartphones above 20,000 rupees, they are growing 50% year on year. So it's across, I would say, large appliances, fashion and beauty, health and personal care, and some home and kitchen items.
But while marketplaces and brand websites continued to see steady growth, quick commerce companies stole the show. Quick commerce apps like Instamart, Zepto, Blinkit and Big Basket registered a massive 120% surge in order volumes. Instamart hosted its first ever sale, the Quick India Movement, this year and saw a triple-digit surge in the sale of home decor, health and wellness and fitness products, reflecting a shift in consumer spending beyond just grocery. Consumers also turned to quick commerce apps for Dhanteras, with Instamart seeing a 5-fold jump in gold and silver coin sales even before the Puja Muhurat began. Big Basket recorded a 146% rise in gold coin sales and a 234% rise in silver coin sales over last year.
Fundamental shift is that the customers previously had to plan well in advance for each festival, and if they miss the plan, then is not either they miss out the festival or they have to go and search in the market. Now actually, because the quick commerce is available, customers don't need to really worry about the plan. One day before that, they can check all the items and they can buy the entire range which they want.
Datum Intelligence had estimated festive sales to grow 27% to cross 1.2 lakh crore this year, with quick commerce platforms alone expected to clock $1.6 billion, double compared to last year. Experts say that while consumer buying patterns are seeing fundamental shifts, e-commerce and quick commerce will continue to coexist when it comes to festive sales.
I think one thing is very clear for grocery items and little bit long tail categories, quick commerce is the first choice. But when you're looking for appliances, smartphone, fashion, and other categories, still e-commerce is where most of the spending goes. So a little early, but in some categories which are your household purchases, quick commerce will rule. That's the way customers are going to purchase those items, especially in top 8 to 10 metros.
From festive sweets and silver coins to large appliances and gifting, this Diwali is a digital one being shaped by two major forces: affordability and instant gratification. Now, while e-commerce sites have always been about massive deals and big-ticket purchases, quick commerce this time, with its speed, has become the surprise star of the show, rewriting how festive shopping is done in India. In Mumbai, Shilpa Ranipeta.
Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Wishing all of viewers a very happy Diwali once again. And do remember, Muhurat trading tomorrow in the afternoon. It's much earlier than usual, so do tune in to CNBC TV 18. We'll be live with all the Muhurat action. Thanks very much for watching.